Hello, 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 and welcome to the second episode of Mixed Media Reviews Season 5, Wild. My name is Kelsey, and today I'm going to be talking about a TV show. And this week's TV show is Nobody Wants This on Netflix. So I did not actually know that this was coming out until I saw a trailer for it in like the little coming soon section on Netflix. Which is wild because I follow Kristen Bell on Instagram and I would have thought that I would have seen that she was doing things, but I guess not. But when I saw that she was in it, I was definitely sold on watching it. And then when I saw that Adam Brody was in it, I was double sold. And I could not wait for it to come out, which, lucky for me, was not very long of a wait because I saw it, in the little coming soon, which is usually not too far away. And then when I did watch it, I watched it all in one day, or kind of a night, really. An evening, perhaps. Today's episode's not really going to have a lot of spoilers, but I will mention some guest stars that I suppose could be spoilery. But yeah, I won't really get into the nitty-gritty details. Nobody Wants This is a show that is loosely based on Erin Foster, who's the creator, her real-life experiences. It follows Joanne, played by Kristen Bell, who is an agnostic sex podcaster who begins a relationship with Noah, a rabbi, who's played by Adam Brody. And then hilarity ensues. I immediately fell in love with this show, like immediately. It was love at first sight. And honestly, I'm really talking about the trailer. I fell in love with it then. And that love only deepened and grew as I watched the show. I absolutely loved it. And probably a big part of it is that, I love all Jewish things. I think I've spoken about this before, but my father is Jewish, my mother is not, which means I'm not actually Jewish, as they typically believe that the mothers are the ones to pass it on to their children. But that's not how genetics works, guys. And I haven't suffered through curly hair and anxiety and guilt and depression to not be considered Jewish at the end of it, okay? I've got the traits. And also because my parents have different beliefs, they kind of agreed to raise us in a more secular fashion. So we didn't get a lot of that kind of quote-unquote Jewish upbringing. Nor are we around a lot of our Jewish family, mostly due to the distance. So why am I giving you a history lesson of my family? Well, long story short, even though I've already gone into a bunch of detail already, a part of me misses that connection. So I really love watching and reading Jewish stories and experiences because I feel like it kind of connects me to them. And I feel like I sort of almost missed out in a way of connecting with that side of my, I guess, heritage, my ancestry. So I love watching all these things because I love getting the Yiddish and the overbearing mothers and the anxiety and the bits and pieces of religion that weren't as prevalent in my upbringing. And so watching Nobody Wants This gave me a little bit more of a window into that part of me that, I didn't really get to a lot of that firsthand experience in. And the fact that they were Russian Jews was even better because we are also Russian Jews. And so it felt like the connection was even greater. And I really, really loved kind of being able to see more of a glimpse into that life that, I was able to experience when I was younger. But Jewishness aside, I also really loved everything else about this show, which, I've seen has now been picked up for a second season. So I am very, very excited because it was only released at the end of September and already they've announced that it was renewed for season 2, which is great because you never know with Netflix. But yes, I'm very, very, very excited for season 2 because everything about it was great. I loved Kristen Bell and Adam Brody's chemistry. They were both so great in their roles. I love Kristen Bell, and then part of me always feels like she plays basically a version of herself, which is not at all a critique. I actually love it because I love her as a human, and so I just love watching her. I don't know. I also feel very nostalgic for Veronica Mars, and so I just love when I see her in other things because, again, I feel like it's a bit of her, but it's, I don't know. Now I'm just fangirling about Kristen Bell, so I'll move on. But I love her, and she was great in this, and Adam Brody was also terrific. I loved seeing him, I guess, grown up. I don't know. I feel like I didn't see him a lot, He hasn't been in a ton of things since the OC, and the things he has been in, I feel like I haven't seen a lot of them either. So I love seeing him again, and I thought he was terrific as this rabbi. And he was just great, and they were great together. I loved their chemistry a lot. The rest of the cast was also, dare I say, great, and I loved watching more and more Jewish actors popping up. A lot of them I feel like I recognized, but I couldn't tell you what they were in. And then when I looked, I was kind of like, oh, maybe I recognize them for that one episode that they were in. So it's kind of funny when your brain has those like, oh, I recognize them, and then you go to look them up and you're like, how do I like recognize them that well when they were in one episode of this one show? Like the Noah, the main guy, his brother's wife, so his sister-in-law, I think she was in a random episode of Veronica Mars, which I thought was kind of funny. There's Tova Feldsha, which I'm so sorry if I can't pronounce that right. She plays Noah's mother, and you might recognize her as the mother in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, so that was fun. And of course, this may be a spoiler, like I mentioned in the very beginning, but I think we all knew it was going to happen. But Ryan Hansen pops up, which is always really fun when, because you know, if I almost said if Veronica Mars, but if Kristen Bell is in something, you know for a fact that Ryan Hansen is going to pop up. It's just how it works. That's how the world works. Darcy Carden, who played Janet in The Good Place, is also in this a little bit. And she was also great. Just a really solid, good cast, and I really liked all the characters and all the writing. It was just really well done. I think they did a really good job with the story. I didn't feel like it was too tropey, or at least it was tropey, but it was done well. Like it had some of that miscommunication trope, which I usually hate, but I think in this case they did it well enough, and they didn't have it go on so long that I wasn't annoyed with it. Like it didn't get to that point where I was just like, just freaking talk to each other, you know? So I really liked that, and I thought everything they did was really good. I was getting a little bit nervous towards the end because I thought they were going one way, or what I thought was going to be the end of the show, but I guess it turns out to be the end of the season, because I thought it was just going to be like a, like a limited series or something like that. But anyway, I was a little nervous at how they were kind of trending towards the end of the season, but I really liked how they ended up wrapping things up. I'm not going to go into detail because again, I don't want to spoil things, but I liked the shift, the pivots that we saw happen instead of the way that they were kind of heading towards, which I guess could be a spoiler, but it was done really well. And I also liked that they were still kind of, I think, they were keeping things open for a second season. Now I know that this is in retrospect, and so I think the things that they chose to kind of set up for season 2 made sense, but it was still in a way that I feel like if it had just been this, one season run, it still would have been, perfect for the season or the series, I suppose. But yeah, I just really loved it. I laughed, I cried, I screamed, I'm sure. It was just a really good rom-com, I loved it. Yeah, so I don't really have critiques. I know, it's shocking. I'm definitely going to watch it again, so maybe I'll have some different thoughts after a rewatch. But I just really, really, really loved it from start to finish. And I don't know if there was anything I didn't really like. Okay, so there was something, but I forgot about it. And the reason why I forgot about it is because I had learned that there's a season 2, so it kind of stopped being important. Because at the end, I do kind of remember thinking, what, that's it? That's all we get? It felt like a bit abrupt to just end it there. But now, again, that I know that they were planning on being a recurring show with multiple seasons, or at least the 2 seasons, and not just like the limited series. So that kind of fell away because it didn't really matter anymore. Because that wasn't the end of the story. That was just, the end of that portion of the story. So it does not feel abrupt knowing that there will be a season 2, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think we can move on because there are no other critiques. It was perfection. I highly recommend Nobody Wants This. If you love rom-coms, if you love all things Jewish, if you love Kristen Bell and or Adam Brody, if you have nothing to do, if you want something to throw on in the background, if you want to watch something so you can escape your own dating life and failures, if you have nothing going on, or if you have everything going on but still want to spend your evening kind of watching something instead of doing the laundry. Perfect for all those situations and more. So yes, go watch it now if you have not. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Nobody Wants This. I don't know why I'm breathing so heavily. I think I just get so wrapped up in talking and like I don't want to breathe too heavily into the mic and then I just get out of breath. I think this is how ASMR artists feel. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Nobody Wants This. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr at Mixed Media Reviews Podcast. Please leave me a comment to let me know if you agreed or if you disagreed or if you have any other suggestions for in the future. And if your suggestion is to be more consistent in posting, I will take that into consideration. You can find me anywhere you find your podcast, probably, though using Spotify will very much be helpful so that I can hopefully get ads back. Monetization, that would be nice. But yeah, please join me the next week where I'll be reviewing a movie, and I'm thinking it's going to be The Fall Guy, because that was, well, I won't spoil it. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye!